Alright guys, so we are back. This is actually my third time making this video because every time I try to make the video, there is an announcement that's going on and it stops and it comes back again. So anyways, we're going to jump right back into this. At least for me, I'm jumping back into it. For you, you're watching this for the first time. We're doing lesson 9.1, which has to do with solving a system of equations by graphing. So we are going to be graphing two lines on the same graph, and our solution or our answer basically to the system of equations is wherever the two lines are intersecting. So the ordered pair, wherever the lines are crossing, that's going to be your answer for your problem. Okay, so we're going to go and jump straight into this. We're going on to page 281, which is the guided practice. We're going to just jump right into doing some of the problems, and that's it. So have your textbook with you and a pencil, and then that way you can go ahead and start working on this together with me. Okay, the first one I do already have solved out for you guys, but I am going to walk you through it, okay, since I did have to film this before. All right, so let's go right into it. All right, so question number 1, you see that it's asking you to solve the system of linear equations by graphing, and then you are given two equations here, and your textbook separates it by asking you to find the x and y intercept for both of the equations. Okay, so I already did this here on a separate paper, okay, and I'm showing you the steps to how to find the x and y intercept. So you can see here that for the very first equation, to find the x-intercept, I made my y equal to 0. And so that cancels it out. And so I have x is equal to 7. For my y-intercept, remember I want to make my x equal to 0. So that cancels out. And then I divide both sides by -1 to cancel out my negative y that I'm left with. Okay? So I have y is equal to -7 because of that -1. Okay? Over here for my second equation, you see that I did the same thing. I made my y equal to 0 here to find my x-intercept. That cancels out. I'm left with 2x equals 2. If I divide both sides by 2, I have x is equal to 1. Now over here for my y-intercept, I made my x equal to 0. This cancels out because 2 times 0 is just 0, and I'm left with y equals 2. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fill in my answers here. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and graph this. So I'm going to start here. Sorry, this was -7. Okay, so I'm going to start here. This is my x-intercept and my y-intercept for my very first line. I'm going to use my ruler to go ahead and connect my points. Remember, extend those lines. And then my x-intercept and my y-intercept. Okay, that's my second line. So I'm going to go ahead and graph that. Sorry, that line came out a little crooked over there. So my point of intersection is right here. Okay, and as you can see, this is at 3, -4. Okay, and so I'm just going to go ahead and write that over here. Now the solution to my system, like I said, was 3, -4. And it says, does your solution check in both original equations? Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to substitute the 3, -4 into both equations just to make sure that we got the correct answer. Okay, so I'm going to start off by substituting 3 to x and -4 to y. Okay, this turns into a plus. So 3 plus 4 is 7, and that is a true statement. Okay, over here, substitute. We have -4 here. 2 times 3 is 6, plus -4. That gives you 2. True statement. Okay, so since we got a true statement for both of those, I can say that this is the correct solution. Okay, now over here for question number 2, it's asking me to use the graph over here on the side to solve these equations. Okay, so for x plus y equals -1, I have this blue line. And then I have this equation here is also that blue line. Okay, so is it consistent? Yes. And is it independent? It is not independent because it is the same exact. Actually, my apologies. I'm looking at the wrong one. This one is a -2, and I was looking at +2. So this one is the one that we're talking about. So we're looking at this blue line and this purple line. Okay? So the blue line and the purple line. So the system is consistent. It is still consistent, but this time it is independent because we're talking about two different lines. Okay? So our solution is right here, that point of intersection. So that's 0, -1. Okay? Now the next one, it says -x plus y equals 3. So we're looking at this green line. Okay? And then this one over here, we're looking at that same line over here as before, which is the purple line. Okay? So is it consistent? This time it is not consistent because those are parallel lines. So let me show you really quickly over here. Remember that consistent and independent is when they are crossing. Okay, and inconsistent is when they are parallel. Okay, so they are not consistent. Okay, because these are parallel lines. So our solution is no solution. Okay, so because we do not have any point of intersection, there is not going to be a solution for that. Okay, now over here for question number 4. This is the one that we have to estimate. Okay, which means that you're not going to get a perfect point like this. It's going to be somewhere off in the middle. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and graph these. So we have, let me go over here back to my paper. So my very first one, so this is question number 4. I have x plus y is equal to -1. And so I also have 2x minus y is equal to 5. So when I find my x-intercept, I make my x equal to 0. That cancels out. I'm left with y is equal to -1. Okay? When I find my y-intercept, I make my, when I make here, I'm crazy today. I'm sorry, guys. It's been a long day. Okay, when I find my x-intercept, I'm making my y equal to 0, and so I'm left with x is equal to -1. Okay, and then over here is what I had done before. So when I find my y-intercept, I make my x equal to 0, and so I'm left with y is equal to -1. Okay, over here for this equation, to find my x-intercept, I want my y equal to 0, so I have 2x minus 0 equals 5. This cancels out, so I'm left with 2x equals 5. Okay, so I have to divide both sides by 2. So I have x is equal to 5 over 2. And that's my answer, which is approximately 2.5. Well, actually not approximately. That is exact because I'm not rounding there. Okay, so when I find my y-intercept, again, I'm going to make my x equal to 0. So I have -y equals 5. And again, divide both sides by -1. And I have a -5. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write in those solutions here. So my x-intercept for my first one was -1, and this was also -1. My x-intercept over here was 2.5, and my y-intercept was -5. So let's go ahead and graph that. So x and y-intercept, both of these were -1. Okay, that's my first 2 points for my first line. So I can go ahead and graph that. Okay, and then my next one, I have a 2.5, so that's going to be somewhere right here in the middle. And then I have a -5, which is right over here. So you can see that this is right here in the middle. Let me zoom you guys in a little bit so you can see. And I definitely recommend that you guys, sorry about my nails by the way, they're a little crazy. I can see here that it's not on perfectly on the grid. So I have to estimate what this is. Okay, so this is somewhere in this area here. So I'm going to say that this is at a -2.5 for my y, but my x value is not exactly a 1.5, but it is more than 1. So I'm just going to say maybe like a 1.3, somewhere in that area. So I'm going to say that this was 1.3 and like a negative 2.5. Okay, again, this is an estimate. You're not looking for anything super exact. Okay, so your two lines appear to intersect at 1.3 and negative 2.5. Okay, so that's my estimate there. Again, you're not looking for anything super exact. You just want to have, you know, like it says, an estimate. So now let's go ahead and talk about our essential question. It says, how does graphing help you to solve a system of linear equations? Well, basically, if they're intersecting at a point, you can solve it by graphing it, and you'll see exactly what the point is. And if they're not going to intersect, you'll also see it. So basically, it's visual. So you see exactly where the two lines are going to cross. Okay? So that's all of your guided practice. If you guys feel very comfortable with this material, then you can technically stop here as far as practice. But I'm going to go into some of these back here, which is in your independent practice. I do feel that all of you guys should be going into this as well, because again, this is just going to give you that extra practice to make sure that you're 100% comfortable with this material. Okay, now I like to graph these by rewriting the equations into slope-intercept form, and so that's what I'm going to do for the rest of these questions instead of finding x and y intercept. Okay, over here, if you were to rewrite this equation, you end up getting negative y equals negative x minus 2, and then you divide everything by a negative 1. So you have y is equal to x plus 2. And this one here, when you rewrite it, you have y is equal to negative 2x plus 8. Okay? So again, I'm just writing it into slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. If I plot this point, I have a 2. My slope is 1 because I don't have a number in front of my x, so I assume it's 1. Up 1 to the right 1. That's my 2 points there. Okay, my next one is starting at the 8, and then my slope is negative 2, so I go down 2 to the right 1. Okay, so I go ahead and graph that. Okay, and my point looks like it is at 2, 4. Okay, so my solution is 2, 4. And just so that we can start getting into the habit of understanding the type of line that we have, this is a consistent independent. Okay, consistent and independent. Okay, now let's do number 7. I have here, when I rewrite this, again, this one, we're going to have a negative y equals negative x. I have to divide by a negative, so I get positive y, a positive x, and this also turns positive. Okay, over here, I take my 2x over to the other side, and then I have to divide everything by a 4. So I'm left with y is equal to negative 1/2 x minus 1. I'm going to start here at a positive 5. Again, I have a slope of 1. So that means I go up 1 to the right 1. Plot that. Okay, and then now I go ahead and I can do my next one. So over here I have a negative 1. Slope of down 1 to the right 2. And I can go ahead and graph that. My line's a little bit shifted. Okay, and my point of intersection here is, let's see, right around here. Let me erase this just to be on the safe side because it is pretty shifted. Okay, that's the one thing, and you guys will see as you start practicing this a little bit more, you do want to make sure that your lines are pretty exact. Okay, I can't really tell where it is. My textbook is telling me that it's supposed to be over here at the -4 and the +1. But again, my lines are not perfect. And if I straighten them out a little bit, then I do see that they should be crossing there. So your point of intersection here should be at -4, 1. Okay? Let's go ahead and do the next one. Okay, over here, I move my x over to the other side, and I divide by 2, so I have y is equal to -1/2 x, and I'm dividing by 2, so this is going to be divided by 2 also, and so that's going to be a -4. Over here, this one's got more steps, so I can't really do this one mentally. So if I go ahead and I add 2x to both sides, I'm left with -4y is equal to +2x plus 4. And then now when I divide everything by 4, I'm dividing by -4. Okay, I have y is equal to -1/2 x. And then over here, I have a 4 divided by -4 is going to give me -1. And I can already see here I have the same exact slope. Now if we come back to this here, I have a same slope, but I have different intercepts. Okay, notice here, same slope, but my intercepts are different. So I know that I'm going to have parallel lines. Okay, so here I plot my -4. I go down 1 to the right 2. I go ahead and graph my line. And then my next one is at -1. And then again down 1 to the right 2. So you see that those points are just shifted. Alright, so these are not going to intersect, so I have no solution. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to leave it there. If you guys need any extra help or you feel like you need some additional problems, go ahead and do the rest of the questions on this page. So you're doing number 9, number 10, and then number 11. Plot those, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Sorry for the announcements again, and I will see you guys in class. Thank you.